Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and I'd like to welcome you to the Practical Stoic Podcast, where I give you practical Stoic advice for modern times. If you'd like to learn more about Stoicism, or if you want some added inspiration in your day, just go to my website. It's risetothegoodlife.com. If you're interested in transforming your life with Stoic principles, then I also offer one-on-one coaching. To book your first free session, just head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching and follow the links. But for now, enjoy this episode. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to another episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. You know, one of the most beautiful things about life, in my own view, is the fact that we as rational human beings are given the opportunity to learn, grow, and change ourselves. You know, we grow up and we take in all of the stimulus around us and we listen to what our parents and teachers and elders say, and we are molded by them at the start. But then there comes a time when somebody challenges what we were taught, or we learn something that makes us question our own beliefs. And there it is, the beautiful moment when we realize that we can change, we can grow, we can mold the mind and change behaviors and mindsets and beliefs and values. And, you know, that's really what today's episode is all about, that process of change. You know, I think that Stoicism is one of the most powerful philosophies for modern times because it encourages people not to accept their poor behaviors or unfounded beliefs, but to challenge them and change them if wisdom and education directs. We are encouraged by the main Stoics to take personal responsibility and to fully examine our lives as if we were a judge in a courtroom. And if we find that we are falling short, Stoicism instructs us to become educated and to change as quickly as possible. And so this week I asked the following question: how has Stoicism changed your past behaviors or worldviews? I'm really excited to share a few great answers from our fellow listeners, and so I'll start with Jeff, who said, "Past behaviors haven't changed a bit because, well, they are in the past and are set, and that's okay. I can't change them now anyway. But as far as my worldview goes, I'm definitely more open-minded, tolerant, and eager to listen to opposing viewpoints. Even if I can't be persuaded, I'm genuinely curious as to the beliefs of the other person." So Jeff, thank you so much for that answer. I feel like I've just been schooled on how to correctly phrase a question, but that's actually really good because I understand what you're saying there. You know, your past behaviors, you really cannot change them, and I really love your take on this question. And when it comes to the worldview, I love what you're saying there too, because Stoicism really does teach us that wisdom is one of the ultimate goals of life. We should constantly be learning and growing. And a massive part of that is being open to new worldviews and new opinions, you know, and new beliefs and new values. So it's really important for us to all really have that deep desire to hear all perspectives in life. So thank you again for that answer. And next we had a response from Heather, who said, "I used to get very angry and always about things I had no control over. Now I stop and think about the Stoics and about how pointless it is to try to control the things that are outside of my control." So thanks, Heather, for that awesome answer. You know, I absolutely agree that the trichotomy or the dichotomy of control is one of the most helpful aspects of Stoicism, and it's so useful in every single area of life, but especially when it comes to really controlling our reactions to emotions and figuring out what we should be spending our time and effort on. So I'm really glad that Stoicism has had that effect on your life, so thank you again. And we had a similar answer from Benjamin, who said, "The dichotomy of control has such a grip on me now. That, combined with amor fati, has me really coming to terms with a more stoic lifestyle." So Benjamin, thank you for that answer. You know, I really do love that whole idea of loving your fate, you know, really coming to terms with what you've been given and what life is throwing at you, and acting as if, you know, life is happening for you, not to you. I just think that's such a powerful aspect of Stoicism, so thank you for bringing that up. And next we had an answer from Scott, and he says, "I catch myself in fear or in anxiety, and I think about Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, and others I have read. And I remember that I am here now in this moment, no other. I have reason and sense as a grown man, and I have the ability to reason now to be at peace. This really helps. Substantial triggers no longer seem to be impacting me as much." Scott, thank you so much for that. I really do think that it's so powerful to understand that we are only ever in this present moment. And Marcus Aurelius, like you said, he did talk about that a lot. This idea of really being present and tuning into what's happening right here, right now. So I love that, and thank you so much for sharing it. And moving on, we had a brief answer from Andrew, who said, "Controlling my anxiety is a big one. I am able to think something through rationally when I get anxious or nervous." Thank you, Andrew, for that answer. Just like I said at the start, it's just such a beautiful gift that we have as rational human beings to pause and to recognize that we can make better decisions. So thank you for sharing that. And so next we had an answer from Cherie, and she said, "It helps me tremendously in that when a situation presents itself that in the past may have sent me into a tailspin, I remind myself, this situation only has meaning if I decide it means something. So between that and the dichotomy of control, I save myself so much pain and needless emotional upheaval. It's truly miraculous. I still have my emotions, but they do not control me, and I can express them when I deem appropriate. In the past, I would allow a problem or situation to control me, and now I am the boss of me." So thank you so much for that answer, Cherie. I can just tell by what you've written here that you are so much more empowered now, and you have so much control over your life. And that's exactly where you should be, because I love what you said at the end there, where you said, "I am the boss of me." This is exactly where everyone should be in their life. We should all be able to be in control of what we do and when we do it and how we do it, how we react to situations. We should be the boss of ourselves. So thank you for sharing that empowering story. And so moving on, we had an answer from Gunnar, and he says, "Stoicism has really given me a larger appreciation of the world as a whole. The cosmopolitanism embraced by the Stoics has helped me to be a more considerate, patient person with regards to others. We are all in this together, and I strive to be a global citizen of the world because of Stoicism." So Gunnar, thank you so much for that answer. I love that you've brought this up, the idea of cosmopolitanism, this idea that everybody is connected. We're all part of one large tribe of humanity. And I think it's so empowering to think like that, because it really does open your heart to greater empathy and greater kindness towards everybody who we come into contact with in our lives. So thank you for sharing that. And next we had an answer from Ryan, who said, "I'm less attached to outcomes that didn't turn out the way I expected. I can now accept that all things except for my actions are completely out of my control. So instead of dwelling or overthinking something, my response is more in the lines of, all right, what is it that I can do right now?" So thank you so much for that answer, Ryan. I agree that one of the most powerful things that we can do when we're faced with any challenge in life is to look at what we can control right now and then to take action in that direction. It's the best thing to do. So thank you for sharing that. And moving on, we had an answer from Danny, who said, "One of my character defects that has hurt my past relationships, led to unnecessary frustration, and hindered my learning and overall understanding is my tendency to lack empathy. To this day, I still struggle with it, but Stoicism has helped me tremendously. When I think of Stoicism and empathy, I first think of Marcus Aurelius, whose words really spoke to me when I first read them. This has led me to reacting with empathy much more than before, and honestly, I'm happier because of it. A lack of empathy can be accompanied by feelings of anger, frustration, and impatience. Here's a good example of what I mean in a quote from Marcus Aurelius, who said, quote, "You yourself are no different from them, and upset people in various ways. You might avoid making some mistakes, but the thought and inclination is still there, even if cowardice or egotism or some other negative motive has held you back from you copying their mistakes." End quote. So Danny, great to hear from you again. Thank you so much for that answer. I absolutely agree that empathy is one of the most beautiful things that comes from Stoicism. When you really understand that as Stoics and as human beings, it is our duty to care for other people's feelings and to look after other people and to put ourselves in their shoes to really understand why they are the way that they are and why they're feeling the way that they feel. And this is definitely something that I'm struggling with as well, but I'm improving over time thanks to Stoicism. And our second last answer comes from another regular, Leo, and he says, In respect of past behaviors, I have found that Stoicism has assisted me in controlling my anger, embracing problems as opportunities, and not being as impulsive but letting reason assist in my decision-making. In regards to my worldview, I have truly embraced a cosmopolitan, Stoic view. I believe we should have one international government with a council of Stoic thinkers who govern based on the Stoic virtues of wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. So Leo, thank you so much for that awesome response. That is an extremely ambitious plan. However, I don't think that any of us would disagree that we need a little bit more Stoic influence in our world governments, especially in this time in history. So thank you again for that. And moving on to our last answer, which comes from Craig, he said, I often struggled with trying to help close friends and family to change their negative habits and behaviors, and have gone so far with it that my own physical and mental well-being were hindered. While I still try to help those who ask for it, my new rule is that if they repeatedly do not try to improve their flaw, then I will not exhaust myself trying to do it for them. I cannot change the actions of others, but I can change how I react to their choices. This has led to a significant weight being lifted off my shoulders and a generally more positive outlook on life. Craig, thank you so much for that answer. I think this is so important for people to learn, and you learn this as you study Stoicism, that you cannot control other people's behaviors, and when you try to do this, then it only leads to frustration and anger. So I think what you're doing there is extremely powerful. You're offering your help. You want to help your friends and your family, but if they're not going to change and if they're not going to take your advice, you are not obligated to feel anything negative out of that outcome, because all you can control is your actions and your responses to their actions. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to thank all of you who answered this week's question again. I think that all of these responses are beautiful examples of what Stoicism can do if you really study and apply it in your life. There's a quote from Seneca that says, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And this is exactly what all of these answers in this episode are about, learning how to live. And so I want to thank you all for your contributions, and I want to encourage everyone listening now to keep on learning how to live and to keep on improving your life. Remember that education plus application equals wisdom, and that's one of the main goals of Stoicism. Keep on learning and keep on trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be. I'll talk to you next time, but until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of it, and I hope that it helps you to live a better life. If you have enjoyed the podcast, then don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when there are new episodes. If you really love the podcast, then I would appreciate a positive review, whether that's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever else you listen. Don't forget that if you're interested in one-on-one Stoic coaching, then you can head to risetothegoodlife.com/coaching to book your first free session today.